don't give a rat's how frustrated she is. The Chicago Sky should suspend her for this. They won't because they're too damn scared of her fans.
The WNBA is in chaos. Once heralded as the Chicago Sky's future face, Angel Reese was recently suspended following a startling altercation with head coach Tyler Marsh on live television. What actually transpired in the huddle during the timeout? Does this signify the end of Reese's trip to Chicago?
Deserves a hefty fine for publicly disrespecting a coach. I'm gonna be interested to see, will Tyler Marsh actually address this? Will the franchise actually address this? But this is some Bush League lack of respect. This behavior can't happen. It can't happen. Look at that. Slap a keyboard out of the coach's hand. They ought to give you 2 to 5 games for that.
Reese slapped a clipboard right out of Coach Tyler Marsh's hands during a furious argument that ended in a timeout. It was broadcast live on television to millions of viewers. The arena gasped. It was regarded by commentators as one of the most offensive things they had ever seen a coach and player do.
Kidding me? That is one of the most disrespectful acts I've ever witnessed by a professional athlete towards their coach, one of their coaches. I mean, wow. Wow. What are we doing? Part of her problem is she's got a severe lack of maturity, but she'd go on a blocking spree for anybody that's critical. But
this is where the irony lies. That night, Ree gave one of her best performances of the season, controlling both ends of the court while grabbing 15 rebounds and scoring 22 points. However, no one is discussing that. Instead, 40 minutes of greatness were overshadowed by one act of frustration. This was not an isolated incident. According to insiders, tension had been rising for weeks due to cold stares, altercations on the sidelines, irate outbursts, and even criticism of the umpires following games. After a difficult loss earlier in the season, Ree criticized the officiating, claiming she didn't care if she was disciplined. That demonstrated your concern for your fans. The executives were concerned about it. The Chicago Sky declared that Reese's contract was suspended indefinitely the very next morning. They made a clear statement. Her actions went against the team's rules. The team is better than the individual, regardless of how well-liked they are. The reaction was immediate and divided. Social media was inundated with fans. Some defended Ree by claiming that she is simply overly emotional and misunderstood. Others claimed that the crew lost control because they waited too long. Another reason for the criticism of Coach Tyler Marsh is that some people don't believe he can lead. Is he no longer in the locker room? This suspension was the result of multiple incidents. It has to do with a struggling franchise. Chicago is finding it difficult to rebuild. Angel Reese was supposed to save the fans. She is now at the center of a firestorm rather than spearheading a turnaround. The Sky run the risk of losing their identity and fans in addition to games. The questions are now growing in number. Can Angel Reese win back her teammates and coach's trust? Even as head coach, will Tyler Marsh weather this storm? Above all, how will the WNBA react to a scandal that has received extensive coverage in the nation's sports media? One crew on the verge of anarchy, one act, one suspension. The tale of Angel Reese Tyler Marsh still has a long way to go. Pay close attention because the Chicago Sky's and even the WNBA's future may depend on the upcoming chapter. The Chicago Sky's rising star, Angel Reese, was recently disciplined for an impromptu altercation with head coach Tyler Marsh on live television, not because of bad play. The incident, which was seen by millions of people, has infuriated people, split fans, and placed the Sky franchise in the midst of its worst crisis in recent memory. We tell the whole story tonight. What actually transpired, the reason behind her contract suspension, and the implications for Tyler Marsh, Angel Reese, and the WNBA as a whole. This story is only going to get bigger, so keep coming back. All of this took place during a game that was broadcast nationally. Anger erupted when the Chicago Sky was in a timeout and trailing by double digits. A clipboard was knocked out of Tyler Marsh's hands by an apparently agitated Angel Reese. What the fans were witnessing was unbelievable. Was it disdain or passion? The video quickly became well-known on Twitter, TikTok, and ESPN talk shows. Because of her actions that went against team standards, the Sky front office announced the following morning that she had been suspended from her contract. This incredible move rocked the WNBA. The twist is here. Reese showed her strength on the court in that particular game by averaging a double-double and contributing 15 rebounds and 22 points. But in a matter of seconds, it was all eclipsed. Furthermore, this was not an isolated incident. Insiders claimed that tensions had been rising throughout the season. Cold stars, post-game referee criticism, and arguments on the sidelines. Reese actually yelled at officials a few weeks ago after losing to Minnesota, stating that she didn't care if she was disciplined. She was a favorite because of her fiery edge, but it also caused problems for the organization. Tyler Marsh, the head coach, is being investigated while Reese is suspended. Critics claim that he did nothing in the heat of the moment. No timeout, no benching, just quiet. And that silence told a lot. Does he now have less authority over his team? Yes, according to some onlookers, who point to a divided locker room and regular fights. The basketball community is divided as a result of the response. Reese supporters claim that he is being unfairly singled out as a passionate leader. Some argue that her suspension was insufficient and that a more severe penalty is required. The media hasn't relaxed, though. ESPN and YouTube have both released podcasts that analyze every aspect of the clipboard event. Keep in mind that Angel Reese was not your average beginner. She became the face of Chicago's comeback after being selected with superstar expectations and promoted as the franchise's future. She is currently suspended, her coach relationship is in jeopardy, and her reputation is being called into question. There are rumors that the Sky front office has already discussed swaps and cultural resets in secret. Although nothing is certain, a player of her caliber rarely receives a suspension in the middle of the season. Right now, the most important question is, what will happen to Angel Reese next? Will she turn things around, recover, and repair her reputation? Or will this mark the beginning of a more significant fallout, a trade, a long-term breakup, or perhaps a new chapter outside of Chicago? Whether Reese becomes a pro sports redemption story or just another cautionary tale will become evident in the upcoming weeks. Without a doubt, the Chicago Sky are more than just a basketball team. They attract media coverage. More attention is being paid than ever to Tyler Marsh's leadership, Angel Reese's suspension, and the franchise's future. Stories like these will also impact the way the WNBA and its players are viewed as the league grows. The Chicago Sky have reportedly suspended Angel Reese's contract following a furious altercation between her and assistant coach Tyler Marsh during a live broadcast. Although she has had an incredible career, this may be the most difficult time in it. Reese was clearly upset during a timeout, pushing his way toward Marsh and apparently making physical contact following a heated argument, according to the live video that was shown on national television. The video quickly became widely shared, igniting a flurry of discussion among sports fans, commentators, and even former WNBA greats. While some have defended Reese by pointing out that her fiery attitude and competitive drive are the same qualities that made her famous at LSU, others contend that this most recent outburst is part of a dangerous history of immaturity and contempt for team authority. Several sources claim that Reese and the coaching staff have been at odds for weeks over issues like playing time, strategy, and leadership in the locker room. This incident represents a turning point for many. In addition to her immediate future with the Chicago Sky, the contract suspension raises questions about the WNBA's larger efforts to position its young players as leaders and role models of a new era. Reese is now in danger of losing more than just playing time because she entered the league with a lot of hype, multi-million-dollar nil deals, and sponsorship opportunities. Analysts have already started to make assumptions about whether her public arguments and off-court issues, like her long-running rivalry with Caitlin Clark and her many complaints about media coverage, have turned her into a divisive figure whose brand appeal is beginning to wane. The timing of the drama couldn't have been worse for the Chicago Sky. The team is working to re-establish its reputation and draw in a growing following, but the news is more about internal strife than triumphs. A variety of responses have gone viral on social media. Within hours, hashtags like #SkyDrama and #Phrase were trending as some supporters called for the club to set an example and punish Ree more severely, while others demanded that coach Tyler Marsh be held responsible for mistreating his best player.
Goodbye.